everyone, and welcome back to the A Traveling Knitter channel. This video is my March wrap-up and April TBR. So for the month of March, I read a total of 9 books, which is more than I thought I had read, but also they were shorter ones. And I read some fantastic books and a lot of books I didn't really like. So that's that. Let's just jump right into it. I'm not going to go in any particular order of when I read them or what I rated them. It's just kind of whatever I wrote down. So quite a few of these I read on my Kindle. So this one right here, this is Hot Vampire Next Door Season 2 by Nikki St. Crow. This is on like Kindle Unlimited, and the third book comes out I think in May. I rated this 2 stars, but I am going to continue because I'm just curious about the plot. So this is about this is like a paranormal romance, and our main character was supposed to pledge to a vampire clan, and she's been kind of toying with the idea of just leaving and not pledging. And then, sorry, I'm just like watching pigeons land on my stoop, which I love. She's technically a mourning dove. I call her Edith because she chills. I'm pretty sure it's the same one always. Okay, so you might be able to hear them. Spring is here. Oh, they're so cute. Okay, so she's doesn't really want to pledge, but then something happens, and it's like this "you're the chosen one" kind of deal. Of course, she has a sexy vampire neighbor who, is like the head of a clan and is super powerful and blah 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 blah. And they keep getting it on. I like the third one, or the first one, well enough. I gave it 3 stars, which I read the previous month. And this one, I just felt like the sex scenes were just getting more aggressive than they should. It like he was using sex as punishment, and I did not think that was very great. But the storyline I'm interested in. Essentially, something has been revealed about our main character, and it's like the reason why she's special. So ultimately, I would like to find out about why and all of that. I don't know if the third one's the last one or if it's just gonna like keep going. I hope so, because I don't really want to like keep going, but I do want to know. Does that make sense? Like, I think if the major plot is like dealt with the third one and then there's a continuation, like I wouldn't keep going. I would just be happy to be done with this world. For audiobooks, I thought I would listen to more audiobooks, but I really didn't. I've been watching a lot of soccer, so in the background it's soccer, not audiobooks. So I only listened to one, and it was Mississippi Jack by L.A. Mayer, and I ended up giving this 4 stars instead of my standard 5 stars for the series. It didn't hook me in as much as the others, and we're really starting to get into the I see something and then I don't talk to you, and so I misunderstand the situation and now we're fighting, which happens over and over and over and over. And I found it entertaining the first my first read through of the series, and I kind of you knew what to expect, you knew what was going to happen, and it was just kind of funny. But this time I felt like I talk about these books constantly. I feel like I don't need to give a synopsis on the Jackie Faber series, but essentially Jackie is a She was an orphan. She went onto a ship disguised as a boy and enlisted in the British Marines as a sailor, or as a ship boy, basically. And ever since then, all the countries, all the people are just trying to wrangle her and turn her into, like, use her for their own ends, is what we're really starting to see. And then you have Jamie, who she went into the Navy with, and basically they are meant to be together, and they're always, you know, ships passing, never really getting to be together. And they're betrothed, they're in love, all this jazz. So in this one, like, we followed Jamie for a bit, and I was a little, like, confused because it's a YA, like an older YA book, so sex isn't explicit. And we're at this portion, and this person that he's with, I think she's like 13 or 14, and I'm pretty sure that they're supposed to have sex. And again, the first time I read this, I was younger. I didn't quite really read in between the lines. And the whole time I just felt very gross about this. Again, it's not called out. It's very tame, but I really did feel like that. And then, and Jamie, I think he's 17 or 18 at this point. So he's older. He should not be doing this. Even if she's throwing herself at him, she's a child. He is an adult child. And Jackie, she is, she's in an unfortunate situation where there's this British officer who everyone just wants to get in her pants because she's just so funny and cute. And there's this scene where she has to kiss him because of a stupid bet, and Jamie witnesses it, which maybe that's a little spoilery, but either way, I'm going into why I didn't give it 5 stars. And he just, like, is done. He leaves. She is distraught. She's trying to, like, tell him that that's not, like, that didn't mean anything, blah, blah, blah. And he's just, like, so upset about how impure she is. And I'm just like, sir, who is gallivanting with a 14-year-old for a third of this book? What? So hypocritical. So hypocritical. So I just, that annoyed me more than I remembered it annoying me. So 4 stars. I still love the series. I'm still very much looking forward to the next one. Is it My Bonnie Light Horseman? I think. If it is, for a fun, I've actually read My Bonnie Light Horseman twice because in college I couldn't remember where I was at, and I wasn't as dedicated to Goodreads. I have my smartphone to thank for that. Having a phone that you can just quickly document things speaks to my soul. Oh, I love it. So yeah, I just couldn't remember which one I was on, and so I had grabbed My Bonnie Light Horseman, and probably, like, I don't know, 50 pages in, 40 pages in, I realized I'd already read it, and at that point I'm like, well, I'm just gonna keep reading it. So I have read that book twice, and this will be the 3rd time. Then another Kindle book that I read was Neon Gods. This has been popping up on my Instagram reels via TikTok. I'm not on TikTok very often, but I do see TikTok reels or TikToks via other social medias, which is so interesting. Such an interesting thing. So Neon Gods by Katie Robert is a Hades Persephone inspired romance novel, and I quite enjoyed this. I very much enjoyed it. So it's set in, like, modern day, and all of the main gods and goddesses, so anytime one of them dies, then another one becomes that, and it's kind of like a council, and Zeus has basically decided that he is the de facto ruler, and so his vote holds more power, and he's kind of tricked the whole city into thinking that there is no Hades and that they can't cross this bridge. And Persephone, her mother is oh my gosh, what is Persephone's mom? Is it Dimitri? This looks terrible. This looks terrible. I'm gonna put the name here because I feel stupid. So her mom makes a contract with Zeus for Zeus to marry Persephone, and Persephone is not about that, and she literally runs away and finds out that Hades is a real person and that there's a whole nother world. It, you know, it felt very much like A Court of Thorns and Roses book 2, which makes sense because that is also a Hades Persephone stylized retelling, taking influences from Hades and Persephone. It was romance, so there's quite a lot of smut, and I quite enjoyed it. I very much liked it. I thought it was pretty good. It is a series. There are 3 books. I know there's at least 2, and I am going to continue reading them because, like I said, I did enjoy it. I love fantasy. I enjoy romance, but I love fantasy, so you put them together and I'm gonna love it even more. Not so much paranormal, but like retellings, all about it. So really liked it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. And then we come to the physical books that I actually have with me. I'm so pleased to say that I read both. I'm so pleased to say that I read both Wicked King and Queen of Nothing. I know. Who am I? I typically don't finish series within such a short time. To read 2 books in a series within a month is crazy. I gave both of them 5 stars. So I'll hold up Wicked King. I gave both 5 stars. I loved them. I really, really, really liked them. So this Folk of the Air series is about Jude, who is a human living in the Fae world, and she lives there because her parents were murdered by her sister's dad. So basically, Jude finds out that her older sister, Vivi, is not her full sister, and she is the daughter of a fairy, and the fairy is taking her back and then also takes, the other 2 children. And so they have to live in fairy world, which is not nice. It is a cruel place where fairies, murder and death is sometimes a game, and they don't like humans. They try to trick humans, and so Jude just turns into, she wants everyone's respect, but she doesn't want pity. She kind of hardens herself and never thinks anyone is just doing something to be nice because of just the world that she's lived in. And book 2, and there's a whole nother character, Cardan. Cardan is the youngest prince of the royal family, and how to describe him? He doesn't really want to do much with the royal family. He just wants to have fun. He wants to drink. He wants to eat good food and all that jazz. But really, Cardan just wants to be loved. That's all he wants as well. So you have Jude, who wants to be respected, and Cardan, who wants love. And they despise each other, but also they kind of like each other, which makes them despise each other even more. and it is just so entertaining. What's also really good, what I really like about these books is they're very fast paced. They don't take like the timing or the timeline of them. They don't take, what am I trying to say? The books don't take place over large swaths of time. It is pretty quick, and there is not a lot of downtime. There's always something going on. And so I feel like if you love fantasy, but you're in maybe in a bit of a reading slump, I would check these books out. They are fairly short. They're very quick to get through. The Queen of Nothing took me less than 5 hours to read. It is, how many pages? 300 pages. That's it. 300 pages. What is the second one? 322 pages, right? These are so easy and quick to get through. And I loved them. I thought they were fantastic. So at the end of the first one, there is a major event that occurs, which you are then dealing with the repercussions of in this book. And then, again, there's a major event that occurs, not so major, but major to our main character, which is this guy. So I'm trying to be really vague, but you know, it's a fantasy story involving a hate to love relationship between a human and a fairy, a fae that doesn't want to be a king or rule anything, but as you can see, there's, you know, they rule stuff. Okay, 5 stars for both of these. Loved them. I also read Zone 1 by Colson Whitehead. This book took me so long to read. It is very dense. They're really, like, even as you see, there are barely any page breaks. So it was kind of a strain to read. This is a pandemic novel, and it takes place over 3 days, which is a little bit misleading because there is a lot of self-reflection in this book. So our main character, his name is Mark Spitz. He explains his name. I'll be honest, I did not get the reference, and I did not have my phone to check the reference when I thought about it, so I don't understand it. He explains what his name is. It's a reference to something, but that went over my head, so yeah. So basically, Mark Spitz, he really talks about, and it's at New York, he talks about, like, prior to the zombie pandemic occurring, and visiting his uncle in New York City and kind of wondering about that, but not too much. He then talks about what he was doing, you know, when the world went to shit. And it's interesting because he's like explaining to you what he saw with when his parents turned and relating it to accidentally walking in on his parents having oral sex. And it was just interesting. The sentence structures it's something to get used to. It's very like literary novel kind of thing. So this page is literally an entire paragraph. This one page is a paragraph. And I'm gonna read the third sentence. It's where Gary is providing the history of when he was in Connecticut. Connecticut, with its pustulant hordes, sans limit and notorious talent for coining anew faces of bad luck. Degenerate Connecticut, with its starless nights and famished mornings. Bad news Connecticut birthed ragged crews that struck together. I mean, what a sentence. Like, there's a lot to think about. Like, I feel like this book is something that you would analyze in college, in high school, maybe college because of the oral sex part. I feel like high schools kind of stay away from that. Anyway, 3 stars, Colson Whitehead. My goal for 2022 is to read all of Colson Whitehead's books because for the most part, they're pretty short. And a couple of the podcasts that I listen to called Colson Whitehead are the great American novelist of our time, and I would like to read more. For my friend and I's book club, where we read romance novels every month, her pick was Real by Katie Evans. And I did not like this book, and here's why. So, Real is about Remington Tate, who is an underground boxer, which I feel like means that they're boxing illegally, right? Isn't that what an underground anything is? And he's like the man everyone wants. All the women love him. They go to his fights, scream his name, think he's the hottest thing on earth. And then Brooke goes to one of his fights because her best friend is obsessed with him. And it was insta love, like insta love. You can't get more insta love than this. Basically, she's wearing a suit to his thing, and he sees her, makes eye contact with her, and then she's like, wow, I feel so flushed that I need to leave. The amount of times that we get to, oh, this is a smut book if you can't tell. The amount of times that I had to read the word like gushing to describe the reaction that her body was having. Just no. So basically she's gushing because she is so hot and dazed and distracted from seeing him punch somebody that she needs to go to the bathroom. So then he, being an alpha male type character, punches the person out, so they a knockout, a KO, and then follows her and grabs her before she goes to the bathroom and is like, who are you? And then her best friend's like, oh, her name is blah 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 and this is her number, blah 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 blah. And yeah, so unbelievably insta love. Then he like sends a limo to her house to take her to the hotel, and she's like, oh yeah, we're gonna have sex, and this is gonna be like a fantastic one night stand. And he doesn't want that. He wants to hire her as his physical trainer, which is what she does that's what she wants to do for a living. And then she like goes on tour with him, and it's a will they won't they kind of deal, which I'm not really getting to why I didn't like this book. This was such a toxic relationship. I feel like some of the things are really big spoilers, so I'm not going to go into that in case you do want to read this book. But there is a thing that Remy has, and I felt like it was just used as an excuse for him to be a complete dickhead. Like, just wasn't a fan. It was very, I don't like, why are so many romance novels written for the woman to be just so submissive and passive in the relationship? Not my favorite. It was also kind of funny because there was, and I did tab it for the book club. Oh, I didn't like the amount of times we had to use the word whore to describe women. Not a fan. Both the men and the women characters used whores to describe prostitutes, which annoyed the crap out of me, because like they're even saying that we need to hire good prostitutes, and then it's like, well, get rid of the whores. Like, they're just doing a job. So that just annoyed me a lot. There's a lot of references to iPods, which just aged this book so much. It's 2013, and I thought that was just really funny. Like, I didn't hate that part, but I don't, if someone references CDs or VHS or cassettes, I don't think of how old that is, but when I see iPods, I don't know, to me it's just like so old. Isn't that weird? Does anyone else feel like that? There is a part where they're like, oh, I have X amount of songs on my iPod. Oh, they have X amount. And it was just funny because I remember having those conversations with my friends on, wow, look how many songs I have. And now it's like, I have every song imaginable on Spotify. Right? It's just interesting. So unfortunately, I gave this 2 stars. I will not be reading more in this series. I was not a fan of how a lot of the things were handled in this book that I can't really talk about because that would be very spoilery. And then lastly, I did read a manga and a graphic novel. So I read Wotakoi or Wotakoi. I really should look up how to pronounce that. Volume 2, Love is Hard for Otaku, and it is about pretty much 2 couples. We have a little bit more characters. Like I think in this one we were introduced to a third or a 6th character that I feel like there's probably going to be a couple there. And it's really just adults who are obsessed with video games and manga, working and navigating life. Not a ton happens in these, but I do like reading them. So I gave it 3 stars. And then we come to Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me, which is a graphic novel. And I was so unbelievably disappointed with this one. This is by Rosemary Valero O'Connell. I was just so disappointed. So our main character, what is her name? Freddie. Our main character, Freddie, has this extremely toxic relationship with her on and off girlfriend, Laura Dean. And Laura Dean is terrible. Laura Dean basically only wants Freddie to make out with her. She, it's like, if you're not available, then whatever, you don't care about me. And Freddie is just a horrible friend because she just, like, as soon as Laura Dean wants to hang out with her or do something, Freddie's like, bye guys, you mean nothing, you're dirt, I'm gonna go hang out with Laura Dean. And I could not relate to that. I've never been that kind of person. My friends always come first before any relationship that I've ever had. And I had such a hard time with this book because I couldn't sympathize with her. Her best friend is going through a really hard time and Freddie, like, doesn't even see it. The good thing with it, there was a lot of representation. There's a lot of different characters. The art style is really nice. It's black, white, and pink. Representation was great. Art style, great. But the story was just garbage. I did not like that one. So, unfortunately, that was another 2 star. So, yeah, a lot of 2 stars that month. And let's move on to the books that I would like to read in April. So this is going to be a little weird because I have so many books that I would like to read, but I don't know which ones. And so I've preloaded my Kindle for when I travel, and I'm not going to go through that list. It's just going to be like mood reading. Which one do I feel like reading? But I've got a ton on there. Of the physical books that I would like to read, many of them are short. So I've got 2 middle grades that I would like to read, and I hopefully can read these before I leave. So the first one is The Swallow's Flight by Hilary McKay. This is a middle grade book, but I believe we follow our characters as they either are adults or they become teenagers. But they live, are they all in Germany? I'm not sure if they're all in Germany or if 2 are in Germany and 2 are in England. And it is about them growing up and having to fight a war against each other. And I don't know, this sounds really interesting to me, that we're gonna deal with, like, I feel like a lot of books start as adults and then you're like introduced to your, friend in the past, or you just stay as kids. So this is going to be interesting to kind of go through the whole thing. And it is, again, it's middle grade, so it's for younger kids, so it can't be too graphic. Another middle grade that I would like to read this month is 10,000 Tries by Amy McKechnie. This one is about Golden Baroni and how he has, I don't know if it says like where he gets this, but someone tells him it takes 10,000 hours to become a master at something. And he wants to be a master of soccer like his hero Lionel Messi. 10,000 hours. He wants to put 10,000 hours into his best friend moving away, and he wants to put in 10,000 hours into helping his dad beat ALS. So I feel like this book is going to be just very sad. Obviously I don't know what happens in the end, but it could be very sad, and it could also be, I feel like it's going to be a book about how to deal with grief. Your best friend leaving, that's sad. Your dad going through a sickness, that's sad. And yeah, so hopefully not too sad. And I also want to finish the Daughter of the Siren Queen. I really loved the first one, which was Daughter of a Pirate King. And I'm very excited, by Trisha Levenseller. I'm very excited to get to this book. It is a duology, so once I read it, then, the series is done. And it was so quick to read, the first one, that I imagine this one is going to be just as quick. The first one, we follow Aloja as she is captured and taken aboard a ship, and we're trying to figure out, what is she doing? But really, she wanted to be there the whole time. She is searching for a hidden treasure to give back to her father, the Pirate King. And while she's on that ship, she kind of falls in love with a dude that's on the ship, and we then find her powers. And this one is going to take off right after that, and I am so excited. Another book that I would like to read is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. I got to listen to V.E. Schwab and Megan Wallen-Turner do like a back and forth chat about Gallant, and I have a signed copy of it. This book is quite interesting because there is artwork in it. There's quite a lot of artwork. I don't know a ton about this book, but I do know that our main character, I think her name is Olivia, she is deaf, and she has a journal. I think it's her mom's journal, and and her mom is missing or dead or something like that, and she receives either a letter or a note through the journal or something, an invitation to Gallant, which I believe is like a house. And when she gets there, she realizes that no one actually sent her a letter, and there are a lot of mysteries in the house, and there's like a mysterious dude. It's like a stranger, I'm not sure, a master of the house. I think it's supposed to be a little bit creepy, scary, and of course there are the pictures in here, and it looks like a fairly quick read, like something that you could read in a few hours. And I just want to beef up my Goodreads goal, which I'm not behind, I'm actually ahead, but you never know. There could be a month where I need to do stuff, like next month. I also have a romance book that I would like to get, like I would like to read. It is fantasy, and this cover is just, I mean, I saw it and I had to grab it. It's called A Heart of Blood and Ashes. It's following with the naming convention that's really popular. This is a gathering of dragons. So I'm not quite sure. Like, I feel like it's a Viking book, but also there's references of dragons. So I'm not sure. It's also fantasy. I really don't know. Really don't know. But looking at this looks like a romance fantasy book, right? It has to be. I think this is it's like a war, and then one of our main characters gets captured, and she's probably going to be used as a pawn, and then she's going to fall in love with her captor. That's probably what this book's about. I haven't even read the back piece. I just saw the word capture, and that's almost always what happens. So, Stockholm Syndrome book, you know what? This is what I want to read. So this is going to come with me. Maybe this is what I read on the plane. Like, it's such a tiny little trade paperback. I feel like this will be like plane reading. And then lastly, I want to read She Who Became the Sun by, I haven't really been saying the authors. Mila Vane. And this is by Shelley Parker Chan. My best friend is obsessed with this book, and I was so excited when I saw that Illumicrate had this as the book of the month, because I did want to buy this book, but I have this amazing edition. I mean, it's gorgeous, right? Like, yes, so pretty. I stuck my book plate in there. She Who Became the Sun is about the Zhu family, and they have there are multiple children, but there are two children at the end, a boy and a girl. So the boy is the 8th son, and I don't know if they go to a seer or something to what's in his future, and it's full of promise, money, glory, but for the daughter, there is nothing. And I believe, like, we don't even get her name. And something happens in that the son, the one that was said to go off and have a fantastic life, he dies. And so the daughter takes on his life and becomes him. And I think does she go to war? I feel like she probably goes to war. She probably fights some stuff. But yeah, do I need to know more about this book? I don't think so. I've heard great things. My best friend loves it. I can't wait to read it so we can discuss it. And those are officially all the books that I would like to read in the month of April. Let me know if you're planning to read any of the books that I'm reading, or if you have read any of them yet. If you have any awesome books that I haven't talked about, let me know down in the comments, because I always love to talk about books. And I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.